all study before exams, and studying is actually a response to the stimulus, which is exam. Similarly, our body reacts to different stimulus to generate a response. We will understand this through this chapter, Control and Coordination, and this will get you your 5 full marks in your board exam. This chapter is asked in the most twisted format, so let's cover each of the topic in detail with exam hacks and prior year questions. Let's start with neuron and its structure. Neurons are the functional unit of our nervous system which help in control and coordination. Neurons are the cells which help us transmitting electric signals through the body. Let us see the parts of the neuron. Where there is a nucleus, a cell body, the tip of the end are called the dendrites, and the line which passes it through is called the axon, which are covered by myelin sheaths, and there is a nerve ending. The tip of the dendrites have receptors which detect the stimuli. Stimuli could be anything which can cause us to react. We either need to touch it, see it, taste it, or hear it. Hence, these receptors are mostly present in our sensory organs like ear, nose, skin, eyes. So the receptors in the ear are called phonoreceptors, which help detect any sound vibrations. The receptors in the eyes are called photoreceptors, which help in detecting light. The receptors in nose are called olfactory receptors, which help in detecting smell. And the receptors in the tongue are called gustatory receptors or taste buds, which help us understand different tastes of our food. And the skin has mainly 3 types of receptors called tactile receptors. One could be a thermoreceptor, which detects temperature, pain receptors, which detect pain, or mechanicoreceptors, which determine the pressure and the touch. So these receptors help in gathering information about the stimuli so that our body can produce a response. Let us see how information is passed through neurons. Have you ever played the game of Chinese whisper or messenger with your friends? So the neuron transmits signals exactly in the same way, where the information we receive through these receptors at the dendrite tip sets off a chemical reaction which creates an electric impulse, and it moves through the neuron. It passes through the axon, and at the end of the axon, it again converts this electric signal into chemicals, and these chemicals cross between 2 neurons. There is a gap between 2 neurons as they are not connected end to end. This gap is called the synapse. So the electric signal is converted into a chemical signal, which again reaches the dendrite of the next neuron. The chemical signal again sets off an electric impulse which passes through the neuron, and it travels through all the neurons to reach the spinal cord and then to the brain, where this information is processed to get a response. What is a reflex action and what is a reflex arc? This is a board exam favorite question for 3 marks. In everyday situation which needs you to react quickly without even thinking about it, you need something called as a reflex action. So imagine a situation where you're touching an object which is hot, so your hand has to be protected from the heat. So waiting until the information reaches to the brain and then responding to it would have your hand burnt by then. So your body has a faster mechanism for this, and this is called reflex action, and the path it follows is called the reflex arc. So the information that is gathered by the receptors travels through all the neurons and generally reaches first to the spinal cord and then goes to the brain. So for reflex action, which have to be acted quickly, the body chooses the reflex arc path, which is the signal from the receptors go to the spinal cord. Immediately, the spinal cord sends the response through the relay neuron to the motor neuron, which tells the muscle to pull it back. Later, this information goes to the brain. Hence, you would have removed your hand before your brain tells you the object is hot. Since we know that the brain is the organ that helps in processing complex information that we receive, let us look at brain and its parts. Since human brain is an important organ of our body, it is protected such that it's inside a bony box, and this bony box is called the skull or the cranium of the head. And this brain is contained in a fluid-filled balloon which provides further shock absorption to the brain. And for the spinal cord, there is a bumpy structure called the vertebral column or the backbone which protects it. Now, there are mainly 3 parts of a brain. A brain consists of cerebrum, which is the forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain, which is also called the cerebellum. So the forebrain is the largest part of the brain, which is responsible for thinking, intelligence, emotions, and decision making. It has sensory areas for touch, smell, hearing, vision, and taste. Now, generally, there are two types of action: voluntary actions and involuntary actions. Voluntary actions are the actions which happen based on our control, such as moving or writing or walking, whereas involuntary actions happen without our control, which is like blinking of your eye or turning your head when you hear a sound. So these are the things which are involuntary. So the forebrain takes care of our voluntary actions like walking, writing, speaking, etc. The midbrain controls the involuntary movements of eyes, ears, head in response to a stimuli. In the hindbrain, the cerebellum helps you maintain posture, balance, and coordination of movements, such as riding a bike and walking straight. The pons in the brain help in respiration and communication between the brain parts, and the medulla oblongata controls the involuntary actions like heartbeat, breathing, swallowing, digestion, blood pressure, etc. Now imagine if every action of our body has to be transmitted through electric signals. For the entire body to perform an action and carrying out a feeling at once, we need so many signals at once, which could be difficult to transmit in time. So in a situation where you are in danger or where you need to react quickly, where your whole body has to respond and not just a muscle, the body prefers to have a chemical signal sent instead of electrical ones. These chemicals are called hormones, and the glands that secrete them are called endocrine glands. So there are mainly 6 endocrine glands in a human. So we start with the pituitary gland, which releases a growth hormone, which generally helps the human being grow taller. Deficiency in this hormone can cause dwarfism. There is another gland near your throat, which is called the thyroid gland. It releases a hormone called thyroxine, which helps with the metabolism of the body. And iodine deficiency can result in less thyroxine release, which causes goiter. And the common symptom of this is a swollen neck. Pancreas, as an endocrine gland, release insulin, which helps you control your blood sugar levels. The adrenaline gland, present above our kidneys, releases the adrenaline hormone, which controls our emotions. And this is why we say adrenaline rush, which is the emotional gland of our body. And there is a gland called hypothalamus gland behind the brain, which releases a releasing hormone, which stimulates pituitary gland to release the growth hormone. Now there is one organ which is present in females and another endocrine organ which is present in males. So in males it is called testis, which releases testosterone hormone, which helps in the growth and development of male sex organs. And ovaries in females release estrogen, which help in the growth of female sex organs. So our body uses these chemical signals, help us coordinate our body in different situations. Let us now move to coordination in plants. Plants generally have two different kinds of movements. One, it is dependent on the growth, where they grow taller and shorter. So it's a kind of a movement where you're changing your height. So that is dependent on growth. And the other kind of movements that plants show are independent of growth. Let us look at the one which is independent of growth, which is usually response to a stimuli. So when we see a touch me not plant, it changes its shape upon touch. And as plants use electrical and chemical signals convey this information cell to cell, the plant cells change their shape by reducing or increasing the water content in them, resulting in swelling or shrinking of cells. This gives us the reaction of shrinking of leaves in the case of touch me not plant. Now for growth dependent movement, we all know that plants grow when there is sunlight and water. We've learned this in the smaller classes. So this growth towards sunlight or always going upwards towards sunlight is called phototropism, which ensures that the shoot always goes up towards sunlight. Roots always grow down because of geotropism, which is due to gravity. And hydrotropism is usually growth due to reach of water. That is, plants grow towards water. Chemotropism is a growth in a plant which triggered by a chemical reaction, such as a pollen grain traveling towards the ovary because of the chemical present in them. Even plants can't completely rely on electric signals since they don't even have specialized cells like neurons for coordination. They also use chemical signals like hormones to help them with their movement. So plant hormones are auxin, which is present in the tip of the shoot, which helps in growing the trees taller. Gibberellin is present in the stem to help the stem grow taller. Cytokinin promotes cell division, which usually is present in the fruits and seeds of the cell where massive cell division is needed. And abscisic acid inhibits the growth of the plants, which helps in whittling of leaves. Let us do a quiz to understand this chapter better. This question was asked in 2023. Name the part of the brain which is responsible for the following actions. First, maintaining posture and balance. Second, beating of the heart. Third, thinking. And fourth, blood pressure. We know that the cerebellum is responsible for maintaining posture and the balance. The beating of the heart is controlled by medulla oblongata. Thinking is done by the forebrain or cerebrum, and blood pressure is again controlled by the medulla oblongata. Next question, which was asked in 2016. Define a reflex R. Trace the sequence of events which occur in our body when a bright light is focused on your eyes. So, definition of reflex R could be a pathway that is taken by the nerve impulse in a reflex action from receptor organ to the spinal cord and back to the effector organ of the reflex action is called a reflex R. Reflex organ could be a sense organ such as eyes, skin, etc., and effector organ could be muscles or glands, etc. So the second part of the question's answer would be, when a bright light is focused on our eye, the receptor cells receive the stimulus and an impulse is generated. This impulse is passed on to the sensory neuron and then goes to our spinal cord, which sends an impulse to the motor neuron to contract the pupil. Next question. Again, this question was asked in 2023. Where are auxins synthesized in a plant and which organ of the plant shows positive phototropism, negative geotropism, and positive hydrotropism? So the auxins are synthesized at the tip of the stem or shoots, and positive phototropism, which is moving towards sunlight, is shown by the shoot. Negative geotropism, which is moving against gravity, is also shown by the shoots, and for positive hydrotropism, which is moving towards water, is shown by the roots. This completes the control and coordination chapter, and you have added another 5 marks to your board's bucket. Remember to focus on the neuron diagram, the differences between voluntary and involuntary actions. Remember all the plant hormones and animal hormones along with their functions, the brain and its part and function of each part. These are the most important topics, and mastering these in control and coordination can help you score full marks in this chapter. You can watch other chapter videos here and increase your marks further. Before you go, comment below on would you like a video on how to draw the diagrams in biology such as neuron, digestive system, etc. and I will do it in my next video. Keep science fun and enjoy, and let me help you to convert your concepts to grades.